And
then you're thinking about everything, and then you're thinking about the world and how you're going to pay your taxes, and there's a whole lot of thinking, and then you lose.
Well,
is that what you meant?
Yeah. I do think that, basically, it's interesting to see this Poppy ban and the Xin Chao ban. Wow, year 4 on life. They said
in the jungle.
They said it is absolutely Gideon versus Peanut key player matchup. And they also said, you better put a Gwen and a Jace in those second and third spots. And Nongshim said no.
And I kind of like this. Because there are two schools of thought, right? It's like, let's make sure none of these top laners play anything that's really good. And there's the, well, they can only play one.
You know, Zeka has been so amazing at Yone across his career. But Nongshim have loved drafting Yone. Even when they had Fisher in the lineup, they played it a ton. But Calix's Yone has been really good, so it's fun to see that kind of respect coming through. So are we trading Jace and Gwen? I think the answer is yes. And I think that the best top laner in the world has chosen that he picks Jace over Gwen. I think this has been kind of a debate a little bit here from some teams in the LCK. For me, it never was. It was always Jace. If you're the best player possible, you are going to win the matchup. You're going to push that advantage. And Zayas is feeling himself with this first pick lock-in. They didn't give it much time. They didn't give it much thought at all. And now Nongshim Red Force, I think they will probably lock the Gwen, but it doesn't feel as comfortable.
No. Skarner definitely doesn't feel comfortable. This feels a little bit better, of course. Difficult matchup like you're talking about, but we know Gwen has some incredible side lane power. Team fighting as well, if you ever get an edge, is so scary. Is Gideon going to be taking the Skarner over the Sejuani, which I find absolutely criminal when there is a Jace already here.
Yeah,
Ivern is obviously what we needed to worry about.
Yeah, that's what I was going with when I said no, I wasn't. I think Sejuani feels pretty obvious here. It's Peanut, you know?
Yeah.
And they get the Talia.
And there would have been times in the past where we're like, oh, it's Zeka, he's on a mage. That's not what, his Talia looks great. It's looked fantastic throughout the season. Is this?
I don't think he's gonna really play Kassadin, but it would be pretty absurd if he did.
Honestly, Kassadin into Talia is like, it's pretty good.
It's fine, and it scales well to late game like Gwen does.
And Rod of Ages is in a good spot. Just pick it, Calix. Just do it. Don't be scared. What's there to lose? I mean, the game, obviously.
Yeah, I think Ryze is probably the better pick here. Gonna have a lot of wave clear. Two great side lane champions for the mid to late game, and the Skarner that doesn't really have a whole lot he gets value out of either of these picks, AP picks though. Like, it's not a Rumble where you're just gonna pull people into an equalizer and watch them burn. You could pull people into Gwen and then she cuts them to pieces, but a little bit less synergy here. So, interesting choices as the Rakan will be taken away. In terms of AD carry, everything but Kalista is available in this Game 1 draft of Varus.
Yep.
So we see Rakan's taken away, then that S-tier Alistar taken away. Now do we ban something like an Ezreal here as Nongshim Red Force for the safety? Viper's so good at this pick.
We'll see what they do decide to get rid of. One final option as the Braum to be removed. So maybe we are just gonna for Nautilus, and so that is going to be picked up on by HLE. I'm gonna ban that one away. So Leona is gonna be the next one, I guess.
Trying to think of what else they would see. Like, the Elise came to mind here.
I mean, it's
blind, though, is the thing, into Delight. And Delight is a very good support player, as we know, who has a pretty decent champion pool. You know, we've known him to be the engage guy for a really long time, but he could just play ranged here with the Varus. That is very difficult to lock down by Cocoon. Or they could play it Ezreal lane. But I don't think that, you know, you want to play Ezreal Karma, for example, into this Elise, because it doesn't really do much for the rest of your comp. They're looking for a Pantheon instead. And they're ready to fight fire with fire down here in the bottom lane. Now the question becomes, what do you play with this Elise?
Yeah, I feel like you can play a whole lot of things. I think already
Caitlyn?
This bottom lane's looking pretty scary on Nongshim's side. Caitlyn and the Elise going to mean that landing cocoons and traps and things like that will spell most of your health bar just disintegrating. And so Delight going to have that shield wall up as often as possible.
I also do think that Peanut will probably have to bail this bottom lane out a little bit. You know, we'll see when that happens, if it's going to be, you know, at a level 3 where he passed bottom, or is it going to be when they lane swap top side to try to get away from this Caitlyn, that Peanut's there to try to punish, because you could trust, I think, in this draft, in my opinion, even though Kingen is also World's MVP and has been one of our best top laners this year, that Zeus will control the Jace and Gwen matchup. So if you trust that, you can kind of support this bottom lane, which otherwise looks like it's going to have a bit of a problem. Like, locking in the Pantheon is a super bold move, considering he's melee into the Elise. The fact that Caitlyn is up means that, you know, if you do end up getting caught by a few cocoons, you're always going to lose that lane, so you are going to need some help, and that requires your solo lanes to do well. And it is Zeka and Zeus, so you're ready to trust that. But if it doesn't go well, if there's an error, if there's a mistake made, if we do end up seeing that bottom lane snowball, this draft for Hanwha Life Esports gets a little bit tougher.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this one's going to go, because like you say, the power is sort of lopsided, right? Top side looking absolutely amazing for HLE. But this Elise Caitlyn lane is something that Nongshim can play around. That is a point of pressure on this map that they might be able to utilize. We'll just have to see whether they're going to be capable of doing so or whether the orange tank is going to run them over. Let's dive into it. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Onto the rift for Nongshim versus HLE, our very first game of round 2. See who's going to be able to get off on the right foot.
This is a very valuable ward for the Gwen. And they're even going to get a little Root on Delight Electrocute proc.
Wow, and he doesn't even hit the Spiderling with the spear. Does jab one with an auto attack.
It does give all of us a little PTSD about lane swaps when you see like this, both supports up there, Caitlyn's up there like, aha, you thought you could lane swap out of this lane, we're already up here, and then you're like, oh no, it's out of the game, Wolf, calm down.
Yeah, wait a second. And everyone goes back anyway, so it's not like you get all that much of an advantage. It's just some extra vision going down.
So the vision for the Gwen feels nice, so she can get on top of the Jace if he's hiding in that brush. Gives you a little bit of information because you're the melee into the ranged. Bottom side, though, you sacrifice because you sent Caitlyn there, control of this bottom side brush that Viper has. So that is the trade-off. Viper did go for Halo Blades. Let's see how much damage he decides to opt into here. Yep, just one auto. And
they get a cleanse already, and Peacemaker lands. That's, you know, I mean, this is Lehens versus Viper. They know each other extraordinarily well, as they did debut at the same time here in the LCK on Griffin.
They didn't have, I mean, Delight wasn't there, so I thought Viper would probably, like, at best auto once, or get a ward and then leave, but did decide to stay there and try to push an advantage without his Pantheon and lost his cleanse, so that's not making this bottom matchup feel better, as Peanut is trying to come up here and do some shenanigans, and as Peanut likes to do in the early game, he will succeed.
Yep, one popcorn chicken goes over to Gideon. That means that the level advantage is secured by Peanut, and he is allowed to just steal away the enemy Brambleback. And we saw this yesterday. Humbug really struggled at the hands of another jungler as a Sejuani. Sejuani does have the ability to abuse this matchup. And so Peanut showing that the other side of the coin can actually work out, especially if you're able to navigate it as well as he did. As Repel gets Lehens out of there.
Zeus hasn't lost on Jace. He was not in the losses on Jace graphic.
No, he was not.
Kingen has also not lost on Gwen.
Oh my goodness. They're gonna, like, one of them is going to lose. Either the Gwen or the Jace. We'll have to find out. If it is Kingen that actually wins, then it means that 4 wins in a row is the limit.
Yeah.
You know?
I guess so.
For our world's MVPs.
That's as deep as they can go.
Yep.
Right now, Zeus is winning the lane in isolation, which is, I think, in part why Peanut was able to go up there and put that pressure onto Gideon, as well as his early power in the matchup.
Oh. Kingen actually finding a little bit of an angle here as they're both drinking their potions. There is the dash forward. Snip, snip, not going to have to hit the sweet spot, but as soon as you turn around, things get dangerous. Thankfully for Kingen, he is not tagged by that shock blast. And
Peanut has to come up here now. Gideon's already on his way as well. We might just have a little fight for the Scuttle Crab, but top laners...
Yeah, everyone is on their way up here. They know that this is where the fire is about to start.
Yeah,
Frost comes down as we've got Aftershocks proccing at exactly the same time.
Lehens is coming too, so I don't think that Peanut can stay here long term, in fact.
Yeah.
So that's just going to be that.
I think they get wind of it. And also there is vision down already. Zeus is going to have information if he needs it. Lehen's going to take a rock to the face, and the seismic shove does not land. So a lot of jostling for position, and not a lot of like actual ground being made on either side, but Every one of these shock blasts really feels important as they land on the
Yeah, it really does. You can see in that last exchange, like Zeus did transform as well to chase. He was like, I think I could get more out of this. Peanut was going top and dead even in the CS at the moment. We are going to see teleports come through from our mid laners and our top laners. So 4 teleports all at the same time.
Yep, and everyone just agreeing that it is lane swapping time.
Yeah, a little bit late here for Delight means that Lehens and Gio can try to push this edge. Viper doesn't have his cleanse back just yet, so they can zone him out of some CS here.
Yep. Thankfully, Gio is able to at least get the cannon, even though he missed the melee earlier on. But he's still having a good time, as this is what we were talking about. Peacemaker is kind of guaranteed when the cocoon does land.
Good moves there from Gio. Does space with a net. Does get out of the engage angle there and the range of Viper. So dancing around that advantage really nicely.
Yeah, and it's I love it when a plan comes together, Wolf, because
yeah,
we can see here already the red numbers for the bottom side of the map. Nongshim able to make that one work out, and the blue numbers, they are for the top side. Peanut actually the one big benefactor, as he was able to get that early jungle advantage.
Zeus does leave the lane faster here than Kingin to grab the tier. Really wants that boots as well. Will help him out a ton in the matchup.
Calyx, the aggressive walk forward, you love to see it, but of course had his Skarner in tow. And Realm Warp now up and available as Zeus does get back down towards this bottom side. We'll be able to start clearing these out, but it looks like Void Grubs should be under Nongshim's control.
Yeah, I mean, faster back here for Kingin as well, obviously.
Whoa! The flash repel to start this one off, and he lands the cocoon! I really thought that that was wide.
Yeah, I thought so too, but gets the cleanse. So both summoners down here for Viper now, and Nongshim already had a lot of presence in the top side. Calyx, Realm Warp back to lane, it looked like here, so does not actually have it to join the fight, but they still have control of the choke point right now with this really strong bot duo.
Oh, another shove is a little bit optimistic there as Peanut was in position. Looking to try and go on to Calyx, who does have an old magic mantle. That's really going to be helping out.
Yeah, and now, you know, as Peanut, you're like, what's my angle? Delight can't go through here, has to walk around the other side. Lehen's blocking him completely, and just, there really isn't one. It's like, I hope Calyx makes a mistake. That's the best we can hope for.
Well, Peanut going to get engaged on here. Sorry, Lehen's going to get engaged on here by Peanut, as the cocoon is going to be traded. And Lehen's just buying time so that these grubs go over. There was a bit of a scuffle there towards the bottom as I was watching this spider scuttle away. And Gideon, he knows exactly what he wants. He eats the stun there as well, gorgeously. That's first blood, just nabbed by Lehen's. And Zeka now at 200 health. The noodles are really cooking well today.
Yeah, and I think Hanwha Life really shouldn't have tried to stick around and try to force a play there in the mid lane. And Peanut is also just dead, right?
There's the flash over from Zeka, but the flash in answer from Calyx. Zeus will put down the rise and now looks for even more. Oh my god, this guy's Jace is so scary. But Gideon's still able to flash his way out of there. And Gio is stopped on this top side.
Yeah, Kingin is also like catching a wave under turret. I'm not entirely sure how that was allowed to happen, that Zeus is able to get all the way over there and end up cleaning up that kill there, because that is, it doesn't make it better here for, or it makes it better here for Life. It doesn't save the play, but at least it's not as worse, the worst case scenario, which it basically was up until that point. As Peanut's trying to force here in mid because they know they lost grubs, and he's already in this area, and he's like, I'm not just going to let them get this and get nothing in return. I'm going to force the issue. Really great plays from Calyx. Almost gets the kill onto Zeka, not quite able to do so. And then Peanut is just now in no man's land here, and then they collapse onto Delight. Again, Zeka is so incredibly low that Nongshim know he can't really come in here and impact the play. He misses the shove as well, which is really unfortunate, because maybe that could have been enough to lock Gideon down. And Peanut, you have no right to be here, my man. Peanut was like, I am not going to let them get grubs without us getting some sort of crossback. Zeus just walked his way up here all the way, as I guess Kingin decided he was just going to try to keep the wave under turret and deny farm. Maybe didn't believe he was going to go all the way up top side, but he did.
That was about as well as Gideon could have played that, though, because he looked like he was just dead from the 1-2-3 of the ranged W. So being able to get the smite off, get the extra health back, get the flash off meant that Gideon gets out, but does have to invest a lot, as now it's his turn to come on over and pay a visit to Peanut. He'll pick up a rock, and you can see Peanut not actually going to be able to stand his ground. Wall comes up here towards the top side, as now Lehen's could be in trouble. The threaded volley comes down, but it splits off this spider, and it's going to be Viper taking out his former teammate.
All right, well, that's a successful play there on the top side.
Oh god, Kingen actually trading quite nicely here as the needlework going to be avoided.
Gideon's
making his way down though. And the Impale will be moved out of the way of, and now Zeus is going to turn it. This time no flash for Gideon, and this chase is just too good. The Realm Warp does come in, and now they're still in trouble. How is Zeus going to outplay this? That's the question I have on my mind. The answer is, I guess we just shoot him a bunch of times. As down goes the Gwen, he's immortal.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best top laner in the world, his name is Zeus. What an insane play! Cannot believe he lives there. Calyx a little bit early with the Realm Warp, isn't able to get through, doesn't have flash.
Oh my goodness, there is the Chains of Corruption here towards the top side as well. Lehans gets his health bar cut in half.
Zeus didn't have flash.
So well.
He didn't have flash, by the way. Still lives.
Yep.
He's not afraid of anything. He's like, if I die, I'm taking you with me. Don't die, by the way. I don't die. I don't do that. Now has 2 kills, salvaging both plays. The one there in the mid lane where he rotates up, and then this one here in the bottom lane where he is looking like perhaps he is the victim of a really nice play, then outplays it. Finding the space here against the Gwen, waits for the mist, hits the shock blast, transforms, goes in for a bit of a trade here. And then, most importantly of all here, look at this sidestep on the Impale. Goes low. This is a picturesque Peanut counter gank, right? He shows up on time. And then, Calyx is here. What are we going to do? How are we going to outplay this? Waits for this Gwen to close the gap. Peanut zoning as they try to clear the wave here. Gets the transformation in. Spaces perfectly. My God, I can't even believe it watching in his first-person view.
No, it's really ridiculous. As Kingen, feeling a little bit sheepish after that one. The flash, snip, not working out. At least he can hold on to the fact that he was able to stay up in farm. As you can see towards the bottom side of the map, there is only a 3 CS difference.
I mean, Gideon, he was like, you die 100% if I put the Impale here. Even if you avoid it, you're going to walk back towards the Glen. He still lives. Insane, insanity.
He's a really good player.
Yeah, he's very important.
Yeah, I would say important is certainly the right word.
That might be like underdoing it, but...
right now he's completely controlling this lane. There is no way that King can walk up anymore. It's kind of like the ship has sailed on being able to honestly top lane in this game.
Yeah, and Zeus, he picked this knowing that Gwen was up. He was happy to do it.
Yep, Chains of Corruption going to connect here as there's a Glacial Prison as well. The Chain CC onto Calyx. He is trying to run his way out, but doesn't have flash, and that's Viper picking it up with a flash of his own. And HLE really starting to run away with this one. They don't have feats of strength completed just yet. Need a couple more of the objectives or one of these turrets in order to lock that one down as Delight gets here in the nick of time. Kingen able to at least defend his second last plate, but one of them does already fall.
Delight's on a ward here, so won't be able to back right away. It's going to turn into a funky 2v2. They want to keep him interested while Gideon comes down, but he's so far away.
Yep, immediate repel just to get Lehens out of there. Love tap, as we can see.
And while this is all happening, Zeka is getting plates on the top side, and Gideon looking like he wants to just force something here with Lehens anyways. Looks like they're just going to try to zone while he does Dragon. He is a Skarner, though. I'm not sure if this is actually going to work out.
Yep, Realm Warp is going to bring Calyx in.
Interesting interaction.
Yeah, just trying to make sure that Zeka gets out of that. He does indeed do so, as the Weaver's Wall is now on cooldown as well. So the first Dragon going to be in the pockets of Nongshim.
And they do not commit to try to contest the Dragon, even though they had a little bit more control down there. Vision was Nongshim's as Calyx wants to fight.
Yeah, he's looking for the angle here. Does land a bunch of the Qs, not that last one though. As the rocks are flying in, and minion waves are now going to just start being traded.
Zeus is the second player on his team to have a Ghost Blade, and it's the third core item now picked up here for Hanwha Life Esports. You can start to feel this lead really sink in. 2,000 gold. The advantage as Kingen does not have a jungler near him, so this is a little scary.
Yeah, Zeus does take a turret shot, so is feeling less inclined to dive, as Delight was on Vision. That ward goes down as well. Kingen will be able to clear this one out, control what they're in position.
But Gwen getting zoned out of farm is not where she wants to be. Gideon is going to have to come down here and respawn. At the same time, Zeka backs away, and Calyx should be able to get a plate here topside with some help from Lehens, as we're just going to trade soul laners hitting turrets.
Yep, and they knew that they were all going to be waiting there, but the Gwen is still going to die. Gideon gets into position, but not going to be able to find anything. The Impale comes out, he holds 2 in position, and Viper just kills him. So despite the fact that this was all information that they had, they're not really going to be able to do anything about it, and that is going to be feats of strength going on over to HLE at the same time as they take first turret.
Yeah, this was just more power in the setup here for Nongshim, whereas Calyx and Lehen, sure, they're happy to trade for a turret. They want to get their own top side. That's where their power is on the map. It's just unfortunately not able to threaten anything else. As Zeka safely backs away, they don't allow Kingen to come over here and defend this turret. There's just too many Hanwha Life members here, and Gideon thinks that, or maybe Kingen thinks because Gideon is here, they surely won't dive into a Skarner that has the Impale, right? But not if you dive before the turret. They will dive that because the turret isn't there, it isn't shooting, and they just had way more members than you. It's still a trade of turrets, but that's feats of strength here. Hanwha Life get the turret first.
Now, Kingen having to deal with Zeka waiting in the wings, but his spidey senses were tingling. Able to move out of the way of the seismic shove. Zeus and Delight feeling a little scary as they patrol their way down the river, but not going to be able to find anyone on Nongshim's side. One big thing for Nongshim is the fact that they do have the first dragon, so not without anything, as now Zeka could be out of position, does have his flashback available as the Cocoon catches him, and he has to invest the summoner spell. Lehen's Elise, man, is really, really good.
Yeah, really nicely played. He has the rocket belt as well, but now guess what? We're doing it again.
Well, Calyx, they're going to have to dive him if they want to grab this kill, and he's able to offer a fair bit of damage back. Gideon in position at the same time.
Yeah, I thought Peanut was actually up there. He was not, so we're not quite doing it again, but we at least flirted with the idea. That was a really simple wave clear there from Calyx. Doesn't have to flash or anything like that. It's totally fine. He's got his Rod of Ages now online. You know, sadly for a lot of people, they want to see him play Castle with that item. He's just going to pick the more meta one.
Yep.
In this case, it's the map so much in control of Hanwha Life right now, though, that even when you try to make the plays like Lehen's did, you're still able to get him off the Weaver as well. All you get is a flash, you know? That's the best you can hope for right now. Viper on 3 kills.
Oh, Lehen's going to find him once again. This time, the Cocoon is not going to connect, and the Chains of Corruption does. So Viper just kills it.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was alluding to. I was like, Viper has 3 kills, so I don't know if you can find anything on him anymore. Lehen said, well, give it a good old college try.
Yeah.
And
not sure about that.
Viper said, we don't call it that here. We call it university, and
yeah, and you're dead.
Yeah, you're dead, and now I have 4 kills.
Yep.
He's been quietly just getting the last hit on the champions in this game, and is quite large.
And he's landed every ult as well. Every single one of these Chains of Corruption has connected. And okay, Skarner going to make his way in. Gideon going to see what he can find, as there is the flash having to be invested. Get out of the way of the Impale. So Gideon making that one work quite nicely. Realm Warp to try and get Calyx in there, but he just forgoes that whole idea. As Peanut coming down, Seismic Shove will go wide. Lehens is able to escape the area. 40 seconds on the Dragon, which is why they're getting position around this river right now.
A lot of question mark pings on the top side of the map, as Peanut is just going to go ahead and take his Raptors.
Little did Peanut know he was almost dead.
Yeah, there's
wrong way.
There's a lot of questions about where Kingen is every time he stops showing on the wave. Like, there's multiple pings going down over there, but the same to be said of Zeus, who didn't show up to this top wave until just now. They both have TP for this Dragon, as Peanut is going to clear this ward, and...
Yeah, and I think the Elise is dead, ladies and gentlemen. Not even given the option to use Repel, because he's just dead. Not even able to go into Spider Form.
Peanut was on the ward he was clearing. It wasn't a mystery. So he cleared the ward and cleared the Lehens.
Yeah. And that's a happy Penguin, as that's going to be the end of that turret, utilizing the Rift Herald very nicely. And all of a sudden, this game went from being Nongshim had some like cool things that they were able to do to this game is really almost over.
Yeah, I think we know who the great challengers are in this one.
Yes. I'm starting to feel as well like perhaps the early plays from Zeus were a little bit much, as, yeah, Viper just kills it.
Super casual. No comments from him as he destroys Lehens.
Lehens, of course, is just happy to keep going in as he flashes, does get ignited and does go down to the last tick there from Delight. Zeus moving on over, as well as then the Impale does come on down. Do they manage to get it? And yes, it's Chiu getting a really nice combo there. Now in the brush trying to line up these headshots, but I don't think Nongshim are going to have too much more. Zeka not even able to throw Jiu through the rocks because Jiu's already trying to get the heck out of there. And they will lose their top laner, but they sacrifice him for 3. So
yeah, Lehens dying early in that fight. I feel like kind of gave Nongshim, like weirdly enough, an edge because of how much was committed to killing him here. But there's just no one to get in. Like by the time the Gwen teleport comes in, the fight is just it's so split up, right? And Zeka and Viper are just going to be able to chase down Calyx, and so what's the whole point of the teleport from King in here? You know what I mean? Like he TPs in, but the rest of the team is losing the right side fight. He teleported to the left side. I think if he had teleported kind of on top of Lehens and those carries were chasing, then maybe he would have gotten some value there, but he wasn't sure about how the rest of the fight was going to play out. So ultimately, they lose the fight, and he loses his teleport, and they lose the dragon.
Yeah, there's a lot of losing things. It's going to be a Cloud Soul as well. So we've had unique souls all day.
Nice.
Kind of cool. Chemtech, Mountain, and now Cloud.
I'm sure it'll be Chemtech in the next game too.
I would assume so. There has to be one per series, right? That's how it kind of goes. But it does show that Orcs is at least paying attention, so we're going to get some good segments on the space between games. So it's good to know. Everything is blue on the bottom of my screen, Wolf. That's the dangerous part. As Realm Warp to try and bring them in, but Gideon is going to find himself out of position. He will have to flash. Glacial Prison connects onto Lehens. Lehens probably happy to tank that one up. As HLE just look to turn any sort of aggression that Nongshim are putting towards them. Now Otacon going to be started here. It's the voracious variety.
It's not an engaged support that Lehens is playing. You know, he's playing a Cocoon support. He can't do anything but Cocoon towards his Otacon, so he can't engage on anybody. There's no target. I mean, Viper's got his Edge of Night. Like, who do you even kill here? How do you even get past Peanut?
Well,
good luck.
I think they're going to try and send someone.
They don't even have Realm Warp.
And Gideon is here. Does have Smite, as now the Weaver's Wall to try and break them apart. Great seismic shove will connect at the same time as they're also able to take down the Otacon. I don't think you're supposed to be able to do that, as Lehens going to get slowed down by Peanut. He takes a lot of damage as the Grand Starfall does come in. I think these withdrawals are going to start coming through thick and fast, but there are some kills at the same time as Jiu trying to stand his ground, and it's not quite working. The flash out there as Zeka finds a great angle for the seismic shove, and somehow Zeus always survives on like 10 health.
It's a 16-3 kill game now. It's
a shellacking out of nowhere.
8,000 gold lead. I love this, though. They can't get in. Finally, like, maybe we can get in there? And then Zeka's like, no one's getting here. And he's like, no peeking either. So like, maybe the wall fade. He's, I don't even look over that wall. And this gets a little bit funky here for a second because it looks like, oh, maybe this is an overextension. But actually, Delight is able to set up onto this kill here for Jiu, and Lehens just vaporizes to Viper, who's on like 6 kills or something like that at this point in time.
Yeah.
With this lethality build. So I guess with withdraws, I mean, they got good value out of the one they lost. Peanut's like, yeah, whatever. Anyways, let's move on and kill the Nexus, because that's what it feels like is going to happen in not too long a time. We're only 22 minutes into this game, but it feels like we already know the ending to this story. Nongshim had an interesting early game. The draft with the bottom lane was really cool, but they got jaced by Zeus, and now they're just getting completely destroyed by the entire team.
Mainly Zeus and Viper, though. I think Viper has had a phenomenal game so far. This guy's Varus has been so good throughout his entire career, but we're really seeing him be allowed to carry here for this team. 5-0-5 right now on this champion as Lehens going to go up into the sky, try to avoid some things, but then gets hit by everything and the kitchen sink. Zeus, he takes the turret shot, some sort of skill shot, but it's not going to take any more damage. Here as the seismic shove brings Kingen back into melee range with Zeka, and this is the state of the game.
Yeah,
Talia is happy to go face first into a Gwen.
If they had a wave, like we might actually be talking about this game is in fact ending now. As at least they get something back on the other side. They force the teleport. They will get this bounty.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be a punish here, but, you know, I mean, that's sure +1 thing that Nongshim got. 2 turrets, 3 grubs, 3 kills. The rest of the map is blue. The rest of your screen is blue. Lehens is going to make it slightly less blue, but then...
Oh dear, he's just going to die. Wow, you blink and you miss it. He's 1-7. Of course, 9 deaths was the Beryl special in the game that they were actually able to win.
When you're playing a burst mage as support that just happens to have a cocoon in its kit that works well with Caitlyn and lane, you kind of have to clear vision, and sometimes you pop. Sometimes you just die. Like, 7 deaths is pretty par for the course for what happens when you're in a losing game, as at least, to be fair. Just doesn't feel good.
No. That is going to be a heist on the blue buff, as we saw concluded. The second dragon will go over to HLE, though, as now Gideon Going to drive on forward, looks for Zeka, doesn't get the wall stun though, as Delight also holding onto the engage option, but they do just throw the Skarner back. Zeka is himself actually kind of gigantic right now, 305, and you can see Gideon unable to really stand against him. Is okay, Grand Starfall going to come on through. Delight going to be alone though, as the Realm Warp going to be utilized. That brings Calyx over. Delight does kill the Skarner, but he trades 1 for 1, and maybe with how far Nongshim are behind, this could be a good outcome.
Yeah, I think they're okay with it. And sometimes you get to see plays like this. Otherwise, I don't trust it's Hanwha Life Esports, because I thought for a second they were about to just close this game out with without any happy gaming at all. Wow, and just very clean macro
clean
and
closeout.
Yeah, no, they gotta have a little fun. Calyx is not having a little fun.
No, this is he's dead.
I really didn't think this was going to be the series that was...
Perhaps Kingen is also dead, as, he did have some mist for a few moments, and Viper did go relatively low. There's the flash forward from Lehans. He knows this is all he wants. He just wants to kill Viper. Top of the morning, too, says Peanut. Bristle able to block that bullet. And, yeah, Viper's teammate's going to be there to defend him.
He does have 0 deaths.
Yeah, he is 706.
They have tried to kill him a few times. They got his summoners a few times. They got his summoners again here. Viper, careful on the positioning.
Dying to the Baron.
Nah, he's healing it up.
He's going to be okay. He's going to be A-okay. Baron not going to be around for too much longer here, and not going to be contested by Nongshim either, as we have a 9,000 gold lead. It's almost 10.
I mean, this is not the series I thought that was going to look like this. I thought potentially it was going to be the DNF T1 series, where it's just a complete and utter dismantling. But when you look at the draft in this first game, there were angles for Nongshim, but once they fell away, and everybody started getting fed, and Viper became huge, and kind of Lehans fed himself to him, it did just suddenly become a unplayable game and almost unwatchable game. Unless you're a Hanwha fan, avert your eyes, because it's going to get more painful from here.
And the biggest problem is the fact that it was all based on 2 mistakes in a row. Well, one of them wasn't necessarily a mistake. It was just Zeus capitalizing on a slide over extension from Nongshim. But then that dive that just straight up didn't work, that was the end of the game.
Yeah, no, 100%. That was the moment that the backs were broken. Or that Hanwha Life and Zeus became Super Saiyan, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah,
Peanut.
One of those is Peanut's going to get a cleanse out of Jiu, and they do manage to separate the Elise. It looked almost like they were apprehensive, like, do we have to kill him again? And the answer was they may as well. Impale going to come on through, but the seismic shove just pulls Viper out of the maw of death. Peanut there to stand in front of him yet again. Protect the president is absolutely right as Zeus dives in on top of Jiu, and Zeka will be able to finish him off. The Jace will be the noble sacrifice this time around, but the Nexus is still going to fall here, and HLE not pulling any punches here in round 2 as the sad B comes in for Kingen just before the Nexus does go down.
There are only 2 series wins separating Hanwha Life Esports and Nongshim. Just to give you guys perspective, there were only 6 games, or before this series, we'll see what happens after it. There were only 6 games between these 2.
Yeah.
On paper, again, a more exciting matchup than our first series. But Hanwha Life were like, there is such a big gap between the top 2 teams of the LCK and everybody else. Sure, you may be in the Legend group, but we know who the Legends are. And again, they're not in the Legend group yet. Big favorites to be so. But man, Hanwha Life has given us a taste of what that might look like for the other 3 teams that are in there with them and Gen G.
Yeah, there's it's starting to look a little bit worrying.
I'm like a little scared.
Yeah, there's the top heaviness situation. Moving towards MSI, that feels great, you know?
Yeah, do you remember,
there's 2 teams that are going to that tournament.
Do you remember when there was that Pogsy episode a while back when Gen G was winning everything, and I was like, are they trivializing the LCK? Like, do we even want to watch the LCK when we know Gen G's going to win? It's not gonna be now we got 2 of those teams.
Yeah.
I'm scared, Atlas.
Does that make it better? Is that a solution?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's better.
If we had 10, then that would be really good, though, wouldn't it?
Yes.
So let's just bring everyone up to that level. Right now, what we saw from Nongshim wasn't quite there, but a few back-breaking moments from a world champion MVP can happen sometimes. Short break, then we'll be back with the space, and then game number 2. See you soon.
혜택 볼 수 있고.
공 10초거든?
네, 클리드 있어. 오케이, 클리드 받았고.
엘리스.
미드
끝내면 할 거다.
아,
가볍게 미드로.
추가로 공 있고, 풀공. 난 피하긴 했는데 타워탱 해줄게. 끝. 됐다. 아비. 저 캐틀 노스펠. 맞아줄게. 노스펠이야? 캐틀 노스펠. 캐틀 노스펠. 들어가고 제이스. 나이스. 사워. 조인 공 있다. 공 없어.
왜 나한테 봐.
아무나 찍으면 연계돼. 아, 이거 아깝다, 진짜. 스카는 이제 끝난 것 아니야. 조인 잡을 만한데.
Game 2, where Nongshim hopefully will have a better, more well-rounded draft here. Poppy going to get banned again. I think you feel pretty comfortable to ban Azir if you're Hanwha Life Esports. It's been one of Calix's best picks. So since you don't have to ban the Jace, you don't have to ban the Gwen, maybe we'll see that here on red side, because I think that's what Calix is probably fishing for here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what the priority is going to fall towards, because now we've got 3 junglers banned away. And so with the Rumble being the first of the top lane ideas, I think Calix actually had a pretty good game, despite the fact that it was all kind of everything was on fire. Seeing the last series and the fact that Pungyon had a really tough time on the rise, it was good seeing Calix have a better performance, but they will be banning away the Kalista here.
Yeah, is it just going to be that Azir ban?
I think that Calix definitely wants it, because his best games have been on that champion.
I think that's what I would do if I were the coaching staff here of Hanwha Life Esports. You know, the Rumble is gone. Kingen has a lot of cool fancy picks he can pull out, so I don't think you want to target him anymore here necessarily. And Zeka has counter picks to the Azir, right? But like he could play Sylas or Akali. I don't think he wants to play Akali in this meta, but you know, you have the answers, but why even give him the chance to play his best champion? He's a newer player, he's a lot less experienced. You know, force him onto the uncomfortable Victor situation where you also have counter picks as Zeka.
Yep.
Xin Zhao will go through.
That is very high value, and I think that they need to pick this away from Peanut, but also giving Gideon a whole lot of agency in this game.
Look at that win rate, 65% off, one of our highest picked junglers. It's pretty insane.
Incredibly impressive. This champion has been very, very good. See what the response is going to be from Peanut here. Of course, he does have a relatively extensive champion pool. Maybe they just go for one of these Ivern comps. Maybe he's back on Maokai duty. Maybe he's just going to play Nidalee and they lock Renekton. Oh, God. That would be scary.
80% win rate on Nidalee at the moment. That's somewhat skewed by the shooting at Sion forever games that we did have. But Yone is also up. I was going to mention this earlier, and they opted to ban Nefiri instead. We did see Yone banned in game 1. It was Hanwha Life who made that choice, but this time it's left up. And they still can play Renekton.
Yeah.
As the Ahri Xin Zhao can be strong.
It can. Is it just Ahri Renekton locked in here? I think Kingen really probably wants to pick it away.
I'm scared though, because
never mind.
Zeus can play so many champs into Renekton that if you blind it, you're...
Oh, God.
Or Zeus is just playing Yone.
Yeah, is it Zeus' Yone? Because we always say that the bans against Yone are always aimed at Zeka because it's a mid lane champion these days. But look, they just want to cook. They just want to have a good time. Look at Zeka. He just wants to do it. Like, can I lock it?
He's like, I want to play Sylas. Come on. It's great into Ahri. I get to steal the Spirit Rush.
Ah, that's Maokai. Wait, does that mean that it's Maokai jungle and we've got another top lane
Nidalee mid?
Blind pick Nidalee?
Yeah, that is what it's looking like right now, although it could still, of course, be support Maokai.
Huh.
Into the Alistar is like actually kind of okay. We'll see. But if you're Nongshim Red Force, you're really frustrated now because you don't have a lot of great knowledge, or you don't have fixed knowledge about what is happening. And if you try to be like, oh, I know the counterpick to Nidalee, then they just don't play Nidalee top.
I would suggest
you could play Maokai top even in this draft, to be frank. I mean, it's unlikely, but it's technically possible.
Yep, you could definitely do that. Maokai is a triple flex right now.
They're like, no way we're letting Blitzcrank Maokai through. That has terrorized us enough.
Yep.
That has terrorized everyone enough. Lehens was one of the terrorizers, actually.
He was indeed.
So Braum also going to get taken away. With the Kai'Sa ban here, it starts to feel like this is Viper playing Ezreal.
Well, he could just lock it in here if he'd like to. It does keep things very open-ended.
Yeah, the one thing that you know is going to be fixed is the AD carry position.
Yeah.
So I think this is where you do lock that in and everything comes into place after.
Ooh, Xayah kind of, without any ability to pick away a Rakan as well, is kind of nuts. So it does show that it's not going to be a support Maokai. We're still not 100% on where that's going to be, as I guess Zeus is going to pick his favorite matchup.
Okay, just going to be MF here. I like Zeri more, to be honest. I think you need some consistent damage. You're playing Ahri mid, you can set up picks, but you need something that can clean up the team fights later on. It's a very low-range composition here for Hanwha Life. The Runen's value will be really high for Zeri once she does hit that 2-item spike later on in team fights. You have a lot of power with this Alistar in early grub fights, early dragon fights as well.
Yep.
This draft's kind of coming together here for Nongshim Red Force. It feels like a real strong comp compared to what they had in Game 1. So with this final pick here in the top lane is going to be as Kingen is trying to figure out where everyone is going. And he'll just pick what is arguably very safe in this Ambessa.
Huh.
So
Wait.
does this really give us... Does this actually even solve anything? Okay, that's solved.
I kind of thought it was going to be Rakan because there was no way to stop it from being available. And now I guess it is just going to be blind top lane Nidalee, and then Peanut's playing his very famous Maokai that he has barely lost any games on, and Zeker is on his Yone that we know him
I'll
well
be honest,
for, you could say.
I think the Xayah is very safe into Ambessa, into Shijao, Ahri. Like, I feel like that pick makes a lot of sense. We know Zeka's an incredible Yone player, and Yone pairs really well with Maokai. Like, there's a lot of power in this draft, but I do have some questions about how the Nidalee is going to function here. I do think that this is not a matchup where Nidalee just auto-wins like you do into Sion, and then you build a hull breaker and you win the side lane. It's not going to be that kind of game, so going to be a little bit more measured how this has to play out here for Zeus. And if we get to team fights later on and they don't have a ton of control, I think they just kind of get out-damaged by the fact that the Zeri is going into so much low range. So if you miss your Yone ult, you miss your Q3, the Maokai ult is down. There's so much agency here for Nongshim, so I'm not saying they cooked too hard, but I do think this draft is kind of risky, and it's nowhere near the dominance that their draft in Game 1 had.
No, I would 100% agree. I actually think that Nongshim, they have a real draft, and Hanwha Life Esports has a... guys, it's time to have a bit of fun. That's what it feels like to me. I don't like blind Nidalee should never be a thing in the top.
No,
lane. That should
not.
never be a thing. You should be able to utilize it to counter pick. But that's not what we were talking about at the start of this game. We were talking about Zeus being a great counter picker, and instead just first picks the Nidalee. This is crazy. Let's get into it.
소환사의 협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, onto the Rift for the second game of the series. Second game of round robin 2, as Lehen's getting ahead, buddy. That was the cool skin that I was talking about when we were discussing the Matador skin, and that is the one that Beryl also uses, so I was right. Wasn't quite sure about Lehen's preferences.
Yeah, there are trends.
Indeed.
Lehen's is being trendy right now. So I think it was Pony who said this on his stream once about how, like, you know, there was a ton of top Nidalee being played in solo queue after this became more popular as a Sion counter pick. But he said, like, you know, any celebrity looks good in anything. Like, you think about, like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Johnny Depp, what he's wearing in that, you're like, ugh, but it's Johnny Depp, so it kind of looks cool. You're like, it's a little crazy.
Yeah.
That kind of thing comes to mind. And then Pony said a celebrity could wear a sock as a hat. They could just pull the sock open, put it on their head, and you'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool, that's kind of trendy, because the celebrity's so handsome, he's an actor, right, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, if you're not one of the celebrities, you probably shouldn't be playing Nidalee top lane.
Yeah.
And I don't know if even the celebrities should be blinding it. Zeus is the celebrity, by the way. But, you know, let's see what he does with it. I'm looking forward to this thing. With Grasp, you know, standard stuff here. Just going to try to space. I don't think this is a winning matchup, but he clearly feels confident in it.
Yeah, and he is going to be able to put a lot of pressure on. You can see already farming these Grasp stacks quite nicely. The Ambessa wanting some extra buttons. I feel like the all-in probably going to be an angle that King can get some work done in. But, yeah, Zeus is just grasping.
We'll find out if Zeus really can put a sock on his head and it's still a chance.
Honestly, I think that he probably would look pretty good at it, good in it, as they haven't lost on any of these champions yet. That's pretty impressive, but they've also not lost very many games yet. They've only lost one series against Gen G, as we know. That was very early in the season. The first stand hangover likely playing a little bit of a part there, as you can see. Zeka actually taking a fair bit of damage against Calyx, who's electrocuting him over and over again.
Yeah, I think losing to Genji was kind of the first stand Gatorade that they needed to then wake up and become an elite team and win everything else. As
got some grand entrances, some pulverizers traded, and Lehen's looking a little worse for wear. Does have that triumphant roar to help get some of the health back.
yeah, he is Alistair in this early lane, but doing pretty well. And Zeri also can be quite strong at these early trades with her Q. I am curious to see what happens, you know, later on when we do hit that level 6 for the Zeri. They attempt for an all-in or anything like that, because level 3 is definitely a thing.
Yeah, it's a decent spike for the Alistair. Getting access to your buttons feels pretty good. Of course, level 2 is also pretty nice for that reason as well.
Yeah, looking like a pretty stable start down here in the bottom lane, as Gideon and Peanut look like they're going to have an interaction here.
Oh, headbutt pull. Hands on to Viper once more. Ju not exactly offering too much back here, as now Kingen gonna have to move on down. Wind becomes lightning, and we'll see whether the Ambassador can get anything done now, as that is already a kill onto this Xin Zhao. Kingen trying to do it, but he does not manage to, and Calyx will finally get in and take down the pesky Nidalee. But once again, it's Zeus in a ridiculous position extremely early in the game, and they even get another kill. Zeka also finds himself ahead. Oh dear.
Well, it was a good try.
Yeah, no, this was a really good game too. I enjoyed it.
I did enjoy Calyx's hustle. He was getting involved in the skirmish, you know?
Yeah.
I've seen flips on first grubs, okay? I've seen flips on second grubs. Flip on a scuttle crab?
Flip on first crab, baby.
Yeah, flip on first scuttle crab. That's not really my LCK classic. That's not the norm. As Zeus, yeah, he does have a self-heal. He's very difficult to deal with. Operates in this rush here, forcing Kingen to come to him. King gets taken out. Calyx comes in here, flashes, misses the Q, but doesn't matter, still gets the kill. But ultimately, he flashed. So now he has no way of getting away from a Maokai and a Yone.
Yeah.
Will go down. Hits this charm at least, which slowed down his demise, but ultimately he still will go down. So his lane opponent also has a kill. And this Nidalee starting to get a little accelerated. It's not, again, a matchup that you just absolutely crush, but if you space it well, you can continue to build advantages like this.
And it feels like Kingen just kind of has to fight all the time.
Yeah,
otherwise, the Nidalee just throws sticks at him over and over again.
You kind of
do nothing about it.
You kind of just got to dash 7 times and hope that some of the dashes hit the Nidalee and you do some damage while you're doing it. Otherwise, she just kind of keeps throwing sticks at you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just hope that the minion wave also dies while you're dashing past it, and then you don't need to worry about lane control and manipulation and stuff like that at the same time.
Only about 14 minions didn't die so far. That's actually kind of a lot.
Yeah, this is it's starting to really get away from itself. Is also with a Sheen done.
No flash.
So scary. Good charm from Calyx. Gonna buy him some space there. And so Calyx actually a shining light here for Nongshim so far. They also have a Zeri. You know especially well that Zeri can certainly skew some games in the middle portions of it, as twisted advance there from Peanut, as the audacious charge does come on through. Decent trade back there from Gideon.
And Calyx does not have teleports, so this wave is going to crash into his turret, which means he can't really join for grubs.
Yep, level 6 done here for Kingen, but you can see he's not going in. I don't think he's publicly executing anyone.
Gideon just wants to get one and get out. Get one and get out.
Yep.
He's not going to get it.
Actually just flashes on top of Zeka. They're going to see whether they can find it, but he does get out of the way of Lehen's. Now Calyx moves over once again. Gorgeous ulti. Of course Zeka lines it up, but Calyx has the answer. Wind becomes lightning, does a fair bit of damage, but it's not quite enough to get anything back, and now the re-engage comes through. They're looking for Peanut. Headbutt pulse comes through, and there are still some charges on this Spirit Rush. Calyx going in, but it's 1 versus 3. Can he get the true damage? He does, but not quite able to get much more. And Zeus now is 0 mana up against the young gun of Nongshim.
Calyx looking really good in this fight, but also Gideon's call to flash in there. I think it looked really crazy at the beginning, but it was the only way they could turn it into a positive play, because they needed time for the Aura to show up. Look at where Calyx is on the minimap right now, finishing clearing the wave. Gideon going in here onto Zeka with Lehen's having the follow-up, forces out Zeka's flash here, and buys enough time for Calyx to show up. It's a beautiful ultimate from Zeka, but Calyx is still here with the outplays. The Xin Zhao, so difficult to take down, and now he's got 3 charges of Spirit Rush for the ensuing fight. Grub's going down and live. Gideon gets the first.
Yeah, Headbutt Pulverize onto just Peanut here as Gideon going to knock up Lehens. Lehens still alive, still thriving here as we can see. Kingen moving over. The Banana Brush, great angle for a public execution as now Calyx and Zeka fighting. Zeka with the inside track there as over they go. Kingen actually dancing around this fight quite nicely. Peanut getting taken low, Pulverize only onto 1 as the exhaust through onto Zeus. And Zeka getting pulled back with the charm, but they are just being separated and destroyed. Sapling gonna slow up the Ambassador as he makes his way back, but Lehens kind of sacrificing himself. And HLE will be able to get the prize.
Yeah, this time looking a little bit less good for the engage there to go back in for Nongshim.
All right, Zeka also finding himself the knock-up with the Q. Sunbound the Soul, just trying to get a bit of damage back onto Calyx here.
His ult is almost back up. They should play respectfully here. Calyx does get his own back as well. But I think if this is not a Nidalee top lane, the fight looks a lot less close. And yet, still, Zeus gets a 3rd kill.
Oh, man,
and he's
stop it.
He's still annoying Kingen and taking his minions away a little bit here.
And he's 3-1-2.
Yeah, he is getting to be of significant size.
Yeah, G with the sidestep there is pretty nice. Gideon going to be able to secure his own blue buff. That's good as well. As another Pulverize going to get a Featherstorm out of Viper, actually, as they look to avoid the feathers, doing nicely there. So ulti advantage now available for Gio as Kingen underneath the turret. Gideon gonna have to try and turn this fight onto Peanut before Zeus makes his way over. But the problem is, Zeus can pounce in from a very long way away and he gets his 4th kill of the game.
Yeah, this is starting to look like it's all over but the crying at this early stage as Calyx is the only good shining light.
Ulted by Zeka, and Zeka just finishes him off. That's a solo kill. And look at Calyx's face there as well. He's like, man, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, he's like, I can't do more of this game. Maybe not dying here would have been all he could have done. As he is going for that Malignance build.
We need the, you know how we've spoken about this before, Wolf, but we need the Harlem Globetrotters theme.
Yeah, we really do.
Because we're going to have to start playing it in games like this, where Zeus just gets to blind pick Nidalee top, and it's just fine.
I think at some point it might need to be renamed to the Zeus theme.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he blind picks Nidalee, and Kingen opts to go for the Ambessa, and it's not going well, as we're going to watch Zeka's first-person view on the solo. Q3, his ult is back up. Does enough damage here, flashes out, but guess what? All you gotta do is rebind, baby!
Oh. Yeah, and this is actually what we were noticing on the player cams as well. Like, Calyx, it's not a look of disappointment, it's a look of, like, it's almost awe, you know? Just like, damn, I was doing well in this matchup. And he was! He's 3-2-0. Was actually farming out quite nicely before that untimely death, as now Zeka finds him once again. Just going to soften him up.
I hate Yone, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, it's Zeka, so I'm like, it's hard to say that out loud, but I do feel for Calyx when he flashed away and then he's like, yeah, he just kind of goes back on a die.
I guess I'm
And
dead.
then once you start falling behind against the Yone, doesn't get very easy as he's kind of zipping around. Thing is, I love Zeka, so I'll let it go this time around.
We'll
but
forgive him, but it's pretty cool
Calyx
for the young guy.
He's the only one who had a gold lead, right? You know, he's 200 gold ahead still, but Zeka is Zeka. He and Zeus, you know, they've been calling him the Tepite, the top half of the map, the Tepite, and the Tepite is pretty hard to beat. Only Genji has done it so far this season.
Zeka giving the happy bee to his former teammate. Actually very, very cute.
Yeah.
As they're fighting a little bit, it's feeling a little unfair as we can see. Zeka pretty far ahead. Nice little dodging done by Kingen.
I wonder how Nongshim get back in this game outside of some sort of crazy mistake, some happy gaming from Hana, which we have seen.
Oh, I know exactly how they get back in this game. Gio kills everyone.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the other thing I was going to say is, like, maybe somehow Runan's Hurricane gets hit here before Hanwha Life, just take all the turrets off the map and end up with an 8,000 gold lead, and then he just presses R and cleans up the fight. I could see it.
Yep.
Just not seeing it right now. I'm getting my telescope out. You know, I'm looking at Galileo's notes to see the Nongshim win. Zeus just doesn't care.
Well, he's going to get pulverized. Headbutt back.
Wait, maybe
come
care.
through there is June now chasing after him. Can he actually die? That is the question. Primal Surge is not enough, and there he goes. It's not enough to certify, but it's a shutdown. It's a lot of gold, and it's on Azeri.
That's a small win here. You know, that's a Zeri in the lead. We got a second gold lead.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it.
And there are also players in other places around the map that are doing things for Nongshim at the same time. Yes, Peanut will be able to grab some grubs, but I don't think end of the world as far as cross-map opportunities are concerned.
You already got one grub, so Peanut's not going to get 6. Yeah.
Now, let's see this again as Lehens with the flash exhaust.
Yeah, I mean, that's sometimes what you need to kill this very, very annoying, slippery Nidalee. Zeus did ultimately end up burning his flash as well in the exchange. Peanut will get the 5 grubs, just took a long time.
Yep.
And this time we learned.
Salty to come through there from Calyx. That's beautifully done. He knows that he just needs to buy a little bit of space here, as he will force the Yone to go back. He does eventually have to go back to that Soul.
And over here, Kingen wants to interact with the Nidalee. Zeus doesn't want to interact with him.
Lehens is really trying to put this game back on track.
And kind of the way we saw... yeah.
5 grubs, right?
The way we saw B&K... Okay, Gio, you are in a very weird place. Does he
get himself out?
Yeah, I think he's fine. B&K punished in the mid-game Hanu Life because they kept catching greedy side laners, namely Zeus, and I think Nongshim are trying to repeat this as Viper wants to go in on this fight.
Yeah, he's gonna set up some feathers, but it is just ultimately this turret going down without any response on the other side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, basically everyone on Nongshim is trying to force a fight where they have a man advantage, where they have a disadvantage, they lose the turret, and where they have man advantage, they don't get anybody. So kind of losing on both sides here, unfortunately, for Nongshim.
And they lose feats of strength there at the same time, as Zeka almost finds that knock-up. That was very cute. Thankfully, the charm will connect this time, so Calyx not going to be taking too much damage from that one. Now has a Q that can clear the back wave, so is doing okay. Turret number 2 going to fall down, though, and I have a feeling this is going to be a theme today.
Yeah, so remember when we talked about... Oh, hold on, we don't have time to remember.
There are a lot of people here around there. Flash, Spirit Rush Flash is pretty nice, and in fact, Delight is in trouble. Pulverize is gorgeous from Lehens. Really set up to make sure that he's down, as Spirit Rush is going to get another charge, and another charm comes in, another Pulverize lined up, and Peanut could be in trouble. In fact, oh my God, I don't know how that worked.
TP though, TP maybe. Maybe Kingen gets him. Maybe Kingen gets him. Kingen, how many dashes you got?
Well, he's Ambessa. He's got a lot. Is going to go for the public execution on Zeka. Wants that extra money, but Zeka able to ult his way out, and Peanut is a lumbering tree, and he is going to be able to walk it off.
Oh, and Zeka has the longest dash.
Yeah,
but he wants it, he wants it, he wants... I don't know if he can have it.
Well, he's still going to be able to kill Peanut here, likely. Okay, never mind. Zeka is still alive. Still here. Let's get a nice little knock-up as the charm comes through once again. Hey, so the answering kill is there.
Yes, okay. Zeus making a whole turret here because he's Nidalee in the side lane. But
let's ignore this.
We did get one. We did get an outer turret and inner Schminner, you know? It's, who really cares?
Outer turrets are the ones that you really want.
Once Zeri gets 2 items and we're in a 5v5 team fight, we'll see how useful that Nidalee is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she'll probably be killing a Nexus, which is the most...
No, but what if she has to come to the team fight? Calyx was like so quick on the trigger finger here, avoiding the engage here from Delight, and basically says you are still between turrets. You know, turrets are your worst enemies. I don't want to watch this again.
Oh no.
Because Kingen could have just gone for the kill into Peanut, but he ulted Zeka instead. He opted moments before to go for Zeka, and so didn't get the kill on either of them because Zeka just ulted away. And so he ended up going down. But they still got Zeka, you know?
They did.
Calyx still has a gold lead. And the Nexus is still alive, so I'm telling you, there's a chance.
Winnable. Yep, I'm gonna be right there with you. Winnable game. Zeka gonna look to take down this dragon by himself. Got a Rift Herald getting pinged frantically by almost everyone. So you're gonna be coming on over as Zeus with 2 items now done.
Yeah.
I would say that is somewhat intimidating.
It's not a hull breaker either. It's just more healing.
Yeah.
Try to kill me this time.
Oh, Sundered Sky and the Trinity Force. It's going to mean that these autos, when you first come in contact with the Nidalee, are really going to hurt.
Yeah, they're not going to feel enjoyable for the Ambessa.
Yeah, or for anyone.
This turret's not going to really enjoy the autos coming through from Viper either, and that's just going to be a dead turret with Demolish.
Yep, 5 grubs.
It just seems like no matter what, Nongshim are trying to patch holes somewhere, and they still end up losing a turret somewhere. It's like, oh, we got to deal with this top push, and hold on, we got 4-man, and then they can't be, oh, we lost the mid-turret, you know?
Yep.
Oh, we got 4 build bot, oh, we lost the Herald, you know?
Well, there's a 3,000 gold gap in the top lane.
Yeah, so, you know, let's see what happens if she has to team fight, like I was saying earlier.
Yeah!
We'll see how good that looks.
I think if you've got 1 billion gold, you're probably going to be fine. Is Jiu just going to ult, and Gideon finds Zeka on the recovery, and that's a really, really nice kill to be picked up here. I don't know whether they're going to be able to get over and take the Rift Herald. That is going to be secured there by HLE as Public Execution gets Kingen in amongst it. Trying to keep them interested as best they can, but Lahen's getting lower and lower. Jiu does not have the ulti now for this battle as Zeka gets into the back line, and Calix will be able to spot him, even able to avoid the Nature's Grasp. Very nicely done. Now the quickness comes in. Lahen's does get charmed up. Delight will trade himself for it as Kingen trying to frontline as best he can. Jiu will send them back. That is an even trade.
Yeah.
And in fact, Zeka kind of dying twice within a matter of seconds.
Yeah, that was kind of wild. Also, Jiu ends up picking up 2 assists from that. Now, the second assist a little bit less value, but the first one should be 150 in his pocket. Talking about this moment here where Zeka all-ins on him and he just dashes away from the ultimate. This was quite bizarre. I get it, his team is trying to do Herald and he wants to put the pressure on in mid and force a reaction because he is Yone and can snap back and then be safe, but he gets punished here. Now, they do get the Herald. Now, when Kingen ulted here, initially my thoughts are, ooh, your Zeri doesn't have ult, Peanut's got ult. This is going to look real bad. Like, I had a real bad feeling about this one, but actually ended up playing it really well through Gideon's ultimate here, buying a ton of space. Viper can't actually get to rejoin where Zeus is on the backside of this fight for a really long time. So the fight actually looks pretty clean here. And then when Delight goes in, they collapse on him and take him out. Zeus does very little in this fight because he's a fiddly, you know? So yeah, it's starting to look a little bit more playable every moment that goes by.
And I kind of lost my mind. I thought Zeka found his way back into the fight, but he did not, as we've got another one brewing. Great charm from Calix once again. Pulverize going to land onto both of the supporting cast of HLE. And Peanut struggling once again, but it's a double knock-up. There's the ulti onto 2, and Zeka just surgically removes the Zeri from the fight. And that takes so much of the steam out of Nongshim. They're going to have to back away. Lahen's realizes he'll need to sacrifice himself as Calix flashes right over the spear. Great charm is going to come through as now they're just desperately trying to keep themselves alive. They will be able to do so. Spear slightly going wide.
It's got to feel, how do I say this in a nice way, but is also brutally honest? It's got to feel rough to get just so many small windows back in and still get kind of bopped by this team that's having so much fun, you know?
Yeah, like, it does certainly feel like the vibes are different.
If you're on Nongshim, you're like, I'm trying so hard. This team's playing with the food, and I'm the food. I'm really looking for the angles. Calix is having such a good game. You're trying to look for the punish angles, but it's just not good enough. Calix going in here super deep on the chase. Lahen's has the follow-up. The ult comes through from Jiu. It's small moments like this where you're like, man, if Han would keep messing around, maybe we win this. But then the angle here from Zeka is just incredible as Jiu goes down to 1 health in live.
Yeah, and that was the fattest flash I've ever seen in my life from Zeka to get over that wall. I didn't even know that one was possible. I know you could get through that wall, but like not at the bottom.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a huge flash.
That was a chunky one.
Yeah, I would have gone straight into that wall head first.
Well, he trades flashes on the Zeri, which I guess both champions aren't feeling the worst about, as Lahen's is... He wants to win this game bad, man. He's trying anything he can. He is seen, unfortunately for him, and now is probably just dead. It's top of the morning.
Yeah, top of the morning, too. It does deliver Peanut to the team. Charm is going to connect, but now Peanut taking it as an opportunity to engage. Jiu going to turn up, though. Can he get into the right position? That's the question. Calix moves out of the way of Delight, but the quickness does so much work. Meanwhile, into the backline goes King and finds Peanut at low health as they just desperately want to get on top of Jiu. He does skate his way out, as the spear is not going to connect. In goes Gideon, and Jiu stands his ground. Delight going to get out of there, but the Nidalee not going to be so lucky. Viper also getting some value as the Dragon's going to spawn. HLE lose 1. Nongshim do give another kill over to their Zeri.
Yeah, now Zeri has Runins, you know? Like, Jiu is actually starting to become very relevant in these fights, and I do think that Hanwha's lead feels no longer infallible now that she has those 2, and we're looking at a Cloud Soul point here, but it's not a Soul, so
Okay, there's going to be a little crash into this turret. Gideon slowed down and now he's dead. There's just not really going to be much they can do about that one. Inner turret does fall down. Good Rift Herald value. A bit of a U-turn here from Peanut. As not entirely sure where he wants to go. He is also unsure himself as he does just cruise into this mid lane to set up this turret for a kill as well, and they'll take that one down.
Nice driving. Very clean. Once again, Lehen's on a flank. We'll see if they can punish. I mean, Gio's back at full health here.
Yep, there's the pickup on a Peanut attempt. Let's see whether the charm connects. No, Flash has to be employed, though, to get Peanut out of there.
A trade for Calix's ult.
It's so crazy that in the I feel like a lot of these fights are going relatively evenly, like relatively well, but there are bounties up. Like HLE is still just crushing.
Well, it's if you look at watch this fight again too, because I want to talk about what happens to Viper in this situation, because the teleport here from Kingen is actually fantastic. Look at his collapse here. If Calix actually doesn't run away and also still doesn't get charmed, like I feel like this fight is winnable, but he's kind of zoned out here, right? Viper has to ult, and Kingen is doing a ton of work by himself here. Gideon trying to support, right? But then Gio just kind of gets run down, has to look for an outplay here at the very end. And this is the one player I feel like who has insane longevity here in Nongshim's composition is the Zeri, especially when we consider there's an Italy on the other side. As it looks like we might have more fighting here for Hanwha Life, but Hanwha playing a little bit, you know, fast and loose, okay? Not playing the cleanest, not playing around vision fully. And the more fights they trade like this, the more the Zeri becomes relevant. And if you took away 4,000 gold of their lead, which is on the Nidalee, suddenly starts to feel like, wait a minute, like, is this winnable? I'm not saying that it is, but with a few more fights that go Nongshim's way, with a few more angles for Gio, I do think that Hanwha should be careful, cautious about how they play this out.
Yeah, there's certainly some possibilities here. Zeka gonna unbind. It's over, as we do have a couple of Spirit Rushes, only one more left, as the Charm's going to connect, but that ulti uninterruptible.
Still got an ult out of the Yone, but the problem is every time they get an even trade, somebody loses a turret.
Yeah, and they're going to look for a Constellation Peanut here. Let's see whether they can actually collect that one. Exhaust onto Zeka to avoid that damage, as Delight just going to play defense, and he plays it beautifully. Zeus now comes on over as Peanut eventually goes down. And it's now protect the president. Can they keep Gio alive is the question, as Viper has so many feathers doing so much work. Zeus and Kingen continuing to fight here, as now Viper with the feathers going to pull him back and take down the Xin Zhao. Public execution is not going to work here, as Zeus is tanking 2 turrets. He just flashes for the takedown and he'll collect it. And Gio, let's see what he can get done here, as Viper does fall down first. The feather recall almost secures
Who's
the
going to
end
defend
of
the
him,
base?
yeah, this is the problem. You may have sort of kind of done okay in a team fight, but you have not won the war.
Yeah, every single time it's like, oh, and then a turret explodes. They will save their base for now. I just feel like with 2 inhibitors down now, you can just avoid fighting for practically the rest of the game. The tempo advantage you get is just so insane. As I think Nongshim have started to figure out, well, I mean, they've kind of always known, but they're really heavily indexing in now that Gio is relevant, that trying to chase a Nidalee around the map is just a recipe for a loss, 100%. But just trying to hard force fights anywhere you can and try to get a man advantage and then finally get map control is definitely the right angle. The problem is Viper plays this fight beautifully here, chases down Gideon, and also ults, or avoids the headbutt there from Lehen's with his ult, and then is able to get the root as well as he dies here. And what you could technically call an overextension. It was still cool, saves Delight's life.
Yep, does at least manage to stop the Zeri from getting yet another one. He's still 4-1-3.
Now he's got his Heal Deny online.
Some Armor Pen now set up with the Mortal Reminder.
Yeah.
So not bad.
Feeling almost playable if you just cover the dead inhibitors up on your minimap.
Yeah, I think that if this was like Howling Abyss, it'd be kind of fine. The problem is there's way more map than that. And that's where they're really having some issues, is the Baron completely unseen by Nongshim. Gideon gonna try and get in there. If they can steal this away, then maybe there's an angle, maybe there's an option, maybe there's a way. Let's see what they can actually do.
This is risky for Hanwha, honestly.
It is. That's a flash charm to come through as Peanut getting taken down so incredibly low. Delight got it back, but Zeka finds 3 with a huge ulti. Calix with his Zonyas though, and my god, this Ari is popping off, lands another charm. It's a triple for the young man in the mid lane. And now, maybe that chance for Nongshim's looking real.
Oh, it was all wombo, but no combo. Atlas, they got the knockups. They had the Yone ult, but there was no damage. Zeka's going to come in here, but he's got nothing left in the tank. He's got to get out. That's a Baron, and this was such a risky call into the Zeri comp.
Oh my
If you kill the Zeri, if you kill the Ahri, it's totally fine. Because Viper also is just completely out of the fight at the beginning of it because he has to use his ult. Look at his ult here. He's out.
Calyx
Nothing.
starting the fight as well.
Yeah, and look at Gideon's positioning here as well. It's so hard to follow up. Gio is untouched, and everybody's solo range. Like, Viper cannot close the gap.
Hang in.
It was just a beautiful play on basically every member of Nongshim had a part to play in that.
Yeah.
And it was super greedy. Hanwha thought that Delight and Zeka with their 1-2 punch were going to be able to just default win the fight, and they lined it up. It was beautiful, but where's the damage when Viper's stuck on the top side of the fight? Hanwha will turn this into a Cloud Soul take here. I don't think they can stop this one, but they're on the map. You know, that's plus 3,000 gold on the power play.
And the gold is within 2,000 now. It is actually going to get evened out as Kingen heads up towards his top side. He's got 3 items almost completed. Serpent Spang actually coming in as the second option is kind of interesting. Lots of shields to be taken down, though, you'd expect.
Yeah.
Especially if he's 1v1ing against Zeka in a side lane, so it's somewhat understandable. As there's a flash in from Peanut looking for Calyx, but there's no follow-up, and Peanut is just dead.
I've seen this attempt before. We saw it earlier in the game, and Calyx this time doesn't need to flash to make the play happen.
Yep. I mean, I guess the thinking is that you cannot charm when he's mid Twisted Advance. The problem is, once you've pressed Twisted Advance, you can't get out.
Can they get more here on the exit kills? I don't think so.
Oh, no.
The one thing that they get from this play, even though Peanut dies, is they waste a lot of time on the Baron. You know, they have 2 waves of super minions for a few more seconds here as the inhibitors are like a minute apiece left. So those have to be dealt with before you can start really breaking apart the base here of Hanwha. You can see with this Baron, they got a ton of money. They haven't really started to get the structures just yet. This does allow Hanwha to get back onto the map, but they have lost control of this game. I mean, I'm not saying they can't win it, but like, this Nidalee having to team fight on an Elder, for example, sounds a little scary, and these inhibitors will respawn. You won't just have permanent control anymore. Cloud Soul is also very helpful here, especially for Yone and Xayah, and the Rakan as well. But it's not a game-winning soul necessarily when you don't have that element of Zeri presses R and can hit 5 people with every auto. That's the scary thing. Plus, Calyx is playing out of his mind. He has 10 kills on the R, and he's looking for more!
Another charm is going to connect, and that is the nerf to the Yone at work, ladies and gentlemen. Zeka will be removed, and this turret is going to follow suit. Nongshim are going to win this game, ladies and gentlemen. It is happening.
Are just kind of running it down. Like, what is happening? Like, what was that? Why are you out there? Calyx getting disrespected, and he's showing you why you should respect this young player.
10-2-6, Wolf. He is 16 out of 18 as far as kill participation. He is massive in this game.
Chronicler's so proud.
Oh, he is. He is. He's all, and like I imagine there's also a lot of frustration going on as well because having to break down how this all happened is odd work. But as we can see, look at the blip.
Yeah.
Look at the little blue blip.
I mean, look at the reaction here from Nongshim as well. As soon as they get that turret, they get the pick. They're like, well, Zeus is missing. Not gonna let him go get that inhibitor. They instantly back 3 players. They send Calyx down to the bottom wave. And this Nidalee is not just gonna be able to freely sneak in and find an inhibitor. They're not gonna allow it. They're hunting for him. They're searching for him. Like, he's still missing. He's still not showing. Lahenz is like, if he shows in that bottom wave, I might actually help you take him out. As he is looking for him. And Zeus, for the first time on this Nidalee pick, is actually being chased. He's actually being dealt with because they lost too many team fights. This is another Calyx highlight angle here. Gets the charm in the rebind, and then Kingen max range follow-up with Lahenz. And that's the enter down.
Just gorgeous. Really beautiful stuff here from the young man in the mid lane. Now he's got a very cool hat.
I mean, he has Shadow Flame too. Like, this already does real team fight damage. GA done for Gio here, and it will eventually be a Ambessa that can kind of actually fight. It's been so far behind this entire game, but sometimes all you need to do is get the follow-up ult.
Yep, Calyx has done the most damage in the game. You can feel the pride, like, actually reverberating through the entirety of LoL Park right now. This young man doing such great things on Nongshim.
Yeah, I mean, the second they showed his damage stats, everybody starts cheering. You know, it's one of those things where you're like, he's finally had his moment. You know, when he first had his debut, shaky games, didn't have the confidence. Now he has nothing but confidence. Of course, and his raw mechanics we knew he always had. Looking for a catch here on a Geo, potentially.
Oh no, he's able to skate his way out. Has he actually built enough distance, though, is the question, as the Nature's Grasp does dissipate.
He doesn't have to use either of his summoners. He had the cleanse there the whole time, had his flash, but didn't want to use them, and he piloted so well.
Zeri. You love to see it, don't you? Just press one button, and you skate away from everything.
Well, Peanut will have his ultimate down here for a little bit longer, have it up for these big objectives. I think he knew that, and if he gets the kill on the Zeri there, that might just guarantee the Exodia that is spawning.
Yep. I actually kind of like the idea of like counting your cooldowns and having a look at the objectives and being like, well, I got one to throw now.
Yeah,
let's
fish
see
for something.
what we can do. Yeah,
exactly. No downside yet to this play.
Yep, it's non-committal, that one. As Gideon going to take a little bit of damage here from Zeka.
Zeus has TP. He's in the bottom lane. He is going to show on this wave. Every second he's down there is a second against Nongshim's time on how they want to set up on this objective, how quickly they can take out the Baron. As there's no answer to him right now. Kingen does have TP, but he alone won't be able to deal with this. And actually, Peanut hanging out down here as well. Baron's up in 12 seconds, and Nongshim definitely look like they want to take it as soon as possible. I say that, you have Gideon actually backing here.
Yeah, Zeus and Kingen fighting for this red buff.
Gideon gets Sterek, so I guess that's why he decided it was worth.
Yeah, we're going to turn off some vision here at the same time as the Extendo Beam does come on through. Over the wall goes the Zeri, and Gio going to be able to lock that one down. Red buff for the entire team. That feels pretty good.
They gave up a decent amount of vision here to try to look for that play to deny Zeus and also to get the Stereks online here for Gideon for this fight. But I don't think I don't think Hanwha really won from the exchange. You know, they didn't win from that bottom side play there. And Gideon's back already. And this is it. This is probably one of the two fights we have left in this game, if it may be the last one.
I mean, this could just be like Exodia for HLE, right? They'll have Soul. If they win a fight here, it's Baron, it's Elder, it's everything.
If you win a fight cleanly, the game is done, 100%.
Yep. No matter who you are. As Lahan's looking to try and turn it.
TP is available for King, and he's going to have to use it.
Yep, Zeus has made his way over. Lands the first spear there as Redemption. Going to get Calix's health bar back, and you can see he is not scared to look for these flank angles. Spear not going to connect there either, as Lahan's his health bar very important. Kingen.
He doesn't have a great teleport angle as Lahan's going in.
It's only a pulverize onto one, and that's an ult onto 3 from Zeka, but he immediately goes down. They take the cow, and the Zeri has got 2. Public execution comes through at the same time as up goes the Zeri, and down she goes, but they've got more damage. Zeus is not enough. He is just one Nidalee against the world, and over the wall they go, and they take him down. 7.8k damage for the young man Calix. He is very quickly becoming my favorite player in this entire league.
Man.
My God, this man.
Okay, there's 30 seconds on Yone, 35 seconds on Viper. They decide to go for the Elder here instead of just pushing to try to end. They didn't have a strong mid-wave here. Watch this fight. It's another one of those wombo combos, but there's just not enough late-game damage here after the fact that Zeus is doing very little in this fight, and even though Gio gets focused down, Calix both gets the charm and also avoids the follow-up. And because he's basically full build on this Ahri, he just does massive damage. He has the Shadow Flame, he's got the Death Cap, his moves, his juke's fantastic here, and that is Elder buff over to Nongshim in live. And we'll see what else they can get with this. TP in from Calix as they're going to try to go for Baron as well. With the Baron fight here, having that Elder buff on top of it, they're looking for the Exodia pickup. They'll be a little desynced here, but Nongshim should be able to secure the Purple Worm.
Yep. It is a little bit awkward. Of course, sometimes you want to just grab the Baron so that you maximize the uptime, but they went over to the Elder so that if they are a little bit slow, HLE don't have any way of stealing that one away. It's far more important in any of these fights. As now, Gio's the one that does not have it. You can see everybody else with that cool border around their champion.
That is significant because he's the one who can apply it really easily, but they're not going to be able to contest this Baron. They may look to try to trade for 1 inhibitor. I don't think they can get 2, and even getting 1, I mean, they don't have a full wave here.
Yep, and there are pings out. This is HLE wanting to go for a trade.
They should probably use their Baron-empowered recalls to get back, and they will. No inhibitor going to go down. There's no vision here, of course, remember, for Hanwha, so they didn't know how long the Baron took until they saw that, saw it come up, of course, in the kill feed and what was happening there. Could have been a collapse for all they knew, but likely it was just going to be them getting a little bit of push and backing away. But at this point with Exodia, I mean, it feels like checkmate. How do Hanwha come back in this game now?
I mean, I feel like it has to be funny business, Wolf. It has to be playing around the fact that you've got 2 open inhibitors and you've got a Nidalee that runs so fast.
Yeah,
Cloud Soul Nidalee is you just like, because you press R so much, like you're just sprinting all the time.
The only way I see another window for them to win, but through a legitimate 5v5, is the Wombo with Delight and Zeka hits both Calyx and Geo. And one of them doesn't survive and clean the fight, because it seems like you only get one, and you still lose the fight, as Viper is still very low range on this Xayah, even though he's also almost full build here. QSS in the build here for Geo now, so safe. His GA isn't back up just yet, but it's just so hard to actually fight with this Nilly comp here, and Zeus is not allowed to be in the side lane. He's not allowed to split push. He's just grouped with his team, and that's exactly where Nongshim want him.
Yeah, that is going to be in a turret falling down here.
20 seconds on Elder.
It's now a 5,000 gold lead for Nongshim. Not that gold really matters right now, as Lehen's just pressing the headbutt button because he can, as Calyx is a madman. They have Elder Dragon, of course, so it's not exactly that crazy to go for fights, as Peanut sets up the Nature's Grasp charm. Not going to connect this time around, as in goes Zeka, but they do find a great redemption for the extra health, and now Geo all the way out the back.
Yeah, he's like not even on the same planet. He's like, there's no way you're getting both of us. It's not going to happen.
He'll just say, beam me up, Scotty, when they like lose some of their cooldowns. Yeah, that's what's going to happen there.
You can nuke the Nongshim HQ. I'll be in Kentucky.
Thankfully, they actually do export there, so it's fine. They've got the setups. That's why you have an international noodle brand supporting your organization. That's the power.
They didn't get any inhibitors off of this, but I think they don't have to. I think they know that now that this is a full build Zeri, IE is completed. You just don't have to do anything but the fight 5v5 and make sure that Zeus doesn't have a teleport angle. That whole time there were no minions for him to TP to, he had no teleport ward, and there's just no way for him to end the game or backdoor. They always need to do their due diligence on that, because they're trying to force their way through that inhibitor, trying to force their way into the back. If there's a ward they didn't check, if there's a ward they don't know about, and then their recalls get stopped and Zeus starts pushing, they could lose the game over it. So they're just going to play completely safe, make sure all three waves are at least at the midway point of the map before they do anything.
Well, Gideon actually going to go in, as there is the flash pulverize onto Peanut. Extended beam coming on forward as Calyx finds yet another gorgeous charm, and they end the jungler. And Zeus, he's on the bottom side of the map. Nongshim, they understand they need to send someone home. They could lose most of their base off the back of this one.
Zeus also backing.
Another beautiful redemption angle here.
King has TP.
Another inhibitor turret to go down.
Hanwha are going to have to make an engage happen here soon. They're going to have to make a tough call. Delight and Zeka, they're at the forefront of this. They're looking to fishing.
Yeah,
great defensive charm.
Yeah, Nongshim just so good at understanding the ebb and flow of this game, knowing when it's their turn to move forward and when they have to back off.
Yeah,
they take one inhibitor towards that top side and they do not overextend. This game still feels like it's up in the air, despite the fact that there was a Baron and Elder at the same time, despite the fact that Peanut gets picked off here. Calyx once again finding a gorgeous angle.
You know what Nongshim are doing though? Playing respectfully. And playing not to lose, because they have this game 100% won as long as they don't let Zeus get into the side. As long as they don't get Wombo comboed by Zeka and Delight, which is what the defensive charm and dash away there from Calyx was all about, his positioning there. Yes, they could just send it and try to end the game with the lead they have and the team fighting power they have that Hanwha doesn't have, but why do that when you could just win extremely carefully? 1 minute until Elder, and if you can keep Hanwha so far away from it they can't even contest, you feel good about that too.
Yep, they know exactly where the wards are now as well. They've kept Humble Life Esports in their base for so long. And Zeus, yeah, looking for that flank angle, actually has caught up to Geo. As the rest of HLE going to have to come on over. He has so much health. My God, Randuin's and Spirit Visage? What the heck? It's Tank Nidalee. As we have 44 kills in this game, about to catch up to Nongshim's other record against BNK FearX at 45. And I think we'll definitely have at least a couple more, as Calyx fishing for it once again, doesn't land the charm this time, as he gets a few buttons on cooldown. Okay, the poke's coming forward, he's looking for it again every time.
Two super minions stacking in the top side of the map. Someone is going to have to answer for that. Someone is going to have to go back. It is going to be Zeka, who has TP, who goes over there. There's a lot of ways for him to come in here and join the fight, though. Not the greatest flank TPs. Zeus is running circles around denying minion waves here.
Oh, Cloud Soul, man. The value.
He's just saying you can't actually push to get this inhibitor.
Well, that's a Hex Flash and Headbutt Pulve, as Zeus just able to get himself out of the way there. The Orbit Elder, a lot of damage.
Elder?
With Lehen's here, though, this is Zeus actually buying a lot of space. The Elder has been started as redemption just to clear up the health bars of Lehen's and Calyx, but can they get here in time is the question. As Gideon goes forward, he pulls Peanut out as the Twisted Advance comes on in, and it is the Elder secured by HLE. Now Kingen looking to get on top of Viper, despite the fact that the Dragon's getting angry. And Calyx, can he be the hero again? I just don't think he can. As Extendo Beam not going to be taking down this tree. And despite everything that Nongshim were able to do, they just lose out on the Elder Drake because of a pesky kitty cat being annoying.
Zeus still just gets them, man. He still gets them. He still annoys them. He still ruins their day. He still outruns them. He outpaces them. He outsmarts them. And Zeka can defend the base as they push to end. 45 seconds till his Zeri comes up, and that is 45 seconds too long.
Yeah, no Baron, so maybe these minions are killable. The Calyx is really going to have to rely on these Nexus turrets, and Zeus is not going to let him. Charm is going to go wide. And the Dragon is just burning him down. And I think Nongshim, I think they know that this was a decent effort, just not quite enough to take down HLE here today.
Zeus, he will not be stopped, sure. I can't be in the team fight. I'm not gonna be the main character there, but I can hold your minion wave. I can keep it relevant. I can get prio. He actually basically single-handedly outran them, outcircled them, ran circles around them to get prio for Elder. And unfortunately, Gideon ulted super early in the fight there on Elder.
The flash out, though, to bring the Elder Smite out of the pit with him, that was actually really sick.
Because otherwise I do think that it's probably like even harder to win.
Yeah.
Still, it's just a 50-50 where your damage dealers aren't hitting the Elder, and Viper is. And Viper's ready to call back his feathers, and he's ready to take that Elder. Once the Elder is over, I think that is definitely a playable team fight there, especially with how broken up it is for Nongshim. Hanwha Life, they get away with it again. They play with their food, they cook in the draft, they fall behind, they play fast and loose. Zeka's running into the mid lane alone and dying, and they're losing control of the map, but still Zeus says, all right, I guess I'll focus up and win the game, and goes into the mid lane. They chase him, he won't be killed. Calyx also getting a huge applause here, which is deserved.
I don't care about the fact that this is a 0-2 for Nongshim. Calyx had one of the greatest games I've seen out of the man. Like, late game Ahri it's difficult to look like you're doing a bajillion damage. But he did it with ease. It was gorgeously done. They had to repair so many broken things from the early game. They did so. It was an honest game in the end, just not quite enough to take down the most tenacious team that we have here in the LCK by a decent margin as well.
I mean, Chronicler and I both said it after game one. You know, it's number 2 against number 3 here in the LCK.
Yeah, this actually looked a little more like that in the end.
And Nongshim still play it close here in the second game after losing game 1 in such dominant fashion. They had such a deficit. I mean, Italy was 4,000 gold ahead of the Ambessa, and they still were able to have the team fights they needed. They were still able to punish the disrespect of Hanwha, but can't get the W in the end. You know, that's the level of class that Hanwha has and that Zeus has right now. One of the biggest value off-season pickups, and it was a big shocker, of course, to everyone that he left T1 and joined Hanwha Life. But I can't think in recent memory of anything that like comes close. Like Viper returning to Hanwha Life might be the next biggest one, and he's on the same team as him.
Yep. And it's also just the way that he's fit into this roster as well that has really just kind of synced up with the team. There were some great plays on both sides. I think Zeka finding some huge ultimates in this game as well. And it just ultimately didn't matter in so many of these moments because Calyx was just so good. Kingen, also teamfight Ambessa, looking pretty good later and later into the game as well, cutting down those shields with his Serpent's Fang. And Nongshim, like, we're just going to see, honestly, just an array of Nongshim teamfight wins, one after the other,
Show me
till they didn't.
Show me the cat running around with the minions behind the enemy team.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. That's the real highlight of Hanwha Life here. The rest of it is Hanwha Life lowlights. And then Zeus eventually decides to help his team get prio. Look at how split everybody is chasing Zeus. The Gideon goes into the pit. You mentioned it. Follow here on the Peanut. But then now you've got Viper on the Dragon. Oh, Gio is barely not able to steal it away. Like, Gio actually tried really hard.
Yeah, and Calyx also Spirit Rushed, but Delight put himself in the way. Quickness activated, and that meant that they couldn't get back to defend the President, and so Gio's left out to dry. And honestly, as soon as Viper is the one that locks down the Elder Dragon, that's when it's all done and dusted. But my God, look at that damage. And they lost with a gold lead.
Yeah, weirdly, no comms for that last play. That tells you enough that it was probably really heated in the moment, and how intense it was, how the game state had gotten to the point that it was. Hanwha Life probably yelling real loud and coordinating that last fight. But Zeus, not the team fight Nilly, still does twice as much damage as Kingen on this pick. A lot of it just hitting Kingen repeatedly in the lane, but after what was a phenomenal performance from him in Game 1, I imagine he will, yes, in fact, be player of the match. And he is trying to gain on Chovy a little bit here. He's up to 500 points now himself.
What is it, 600 for Chovy at this point in time? It is.
Yeah, 600. Yeah, that's right. He got 600 in their last match, so he's just one series behind.
And you can understand why. Zeus has just looked real good. In this series especially, I think the Jace is the one that really pushes it over the line. And here it is, the POM standings. Gideon right up there with them as well at 300 points, as Zeus does collect another one as well. And so it was, I think Zekka is pretty close. I think he's sitting at 200. I mean, Gideon, last series, he almost made it to even.
Gideon just lost to Hanwha Life, was up there at 300. He's had so many big wins as well. And I feel like Hanwha eventually will stop getting away with it.
Yeah.
But if they keep getting away with it, they keep winning, and they're just still one series behind Gen G, and it feels like they can do no wrong. Even if they do a little bit wrong, it doesn't matter.
And also, that was a game 2. So theoretically, they just, you know, say, oh, we didn't quite manage to do it, guys. Let's just get ready for the next one, hop over onto the blue side and finish it off. So they were never really under all that much stress. They really do like playing as many games as possible in series, as we learned from First Stand and LCK Cup. And so they're just fun to watch, man. For me, though, a lot of the story is about Nongshim, but let's hear from Zeus.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Zero for the POM interview translation, joined by Zeus on the side of Hanwha Life Esports. Congratulations! Thank you. The first match of round 2. Hanwha takes the win to secure a 9th consecutive victory. How do you feel? You know, there are many rough patches on today's match, but, you know, it feels a little iffy, but I'm still happy that we were able to win today. And you've reached 500 POM points right behind Chovy, who has 600 points. So does first place sound appealing? Chovy has been getting so many POMs. I haven't really thought much about it. In Game 1, with Jace being left open, you locked him in blind as the B1 pick without hesitation. What did you think of them leaving Jace open? No, just thinking about what I could play well with in that game, I just thought that I would feel really comfortable playing Jace, so I think that's what really made me go with that pick. And looking at Game 1, Jace usually takes Doran's shield or blade, but you started with longsword, so can you explain why? I think Jace, there was a trend where he would start longsword and 3 potions. And I feel like there are so many options, but I tried practicing with this build, and I feel like it actually did work well, just as practice on stage. And we saw some insane movement from you in Game 1. Do you remember this part? Yeah. Can you walk us through this? No, I knew that they were coming to gank me, and I was just really trying to figure out how to flip this around, and, you know, it actually just worked. So you even managed to get their flash out here. Yeah, that's right. And you moved forward here, so was that intentional? Yeah, I think I was just trying to really drag them in and make sure that they overextend, and I think I did my best in the worst possible situation. And in Game 2, you played top Nidalee, but during the draft, we saw both Yone and Nidalee, and the Silas hover made us wonder which player will play what. Some serious mind games there, and so were you open to playing top Yone at all? You know, top Yone as a blind pick is a little overwhelming. And during the draft, we did think about flexing all these picks until the very end, until the 5th pick. And game 2 had some feisty plays by Nongshim with the kill score being 24-24, and you guys actually fell behind dangerously with almost 10k gold difference. So which part were you most wary of? I think when the enemy had both Baron and Elder, it actually made us feel a little scared. And last time we almost lost against them, so it actually did feel a little disappointing. So I think my role for getting today's win was just to be a pest and just be as annoying for them to deal with. And earlier, Owner was doing his match interview, and we heard you and Peanut whispering to each other behind Owner. So what were you saying? No, we're just setting up. And we can actually hear what they're doing and what they're saying during the interview, but we're just saying, why is it taking so long? So to keep this interview short, would you like to go ahead and give us a winning performance? We would like you to go ahead and do that. Can you give me a demonstration? 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much for that. I'm sure Owner very much enjoyed that. What a pleasant start to round 2 with a victory. You'll play all 8 teams again, so which team are you looking forward to playing the most? We lost against Genji, and I think I do look forward to our match against Genji and also against D plus Kia because she was a really good player, so I would say that I'm really looking forward to those teams. And that's the end of the interview with Zeus, and back to the space. Thank you.